There you go. So, welcome to How to Blast Pack. I'm Rokk. Right now I'm Ascended 2. I was Immortal. I do this a lot in customs in our groups. I learned how to do it early on in the game. It's kind of a blend of, for blast packs at least, it's a blend of kind of breaking the game mechanics a little bit and using the artificial gravity to your advantage. So, Raze in general, duelist entry, she has an ability to use a Roomba to clear certain corners on all the maps. For first entry, her blast packs are great to get around, great to move people off of the bomb or move yourself to a better position. There are not many other agents who can go to higher positions in this game, and to have a duelist that can do it along with Jet is it's a big deal. The nade, great for AoE clear. If you're about to enter a site, it's great to throw a nade and know that you don't have to clear that part of the site. And now you can focus on, let's say you throw your nade left, you could focus on the right now. Kind of depends on how you're comfortable blast packing in. There are a lot of people who are more comfortable going to the right, more people more comfortable going to the left. The ult is super powerful, everyone knows that. But the trick with her is to use it as a threat in a lot of situations. I can bring up an example of that later. Her best maps are probably Ascent, Split, Haven, Fracture, Icebox. Bind is a huge one for her. Unfortunately, they took it out, but they did replace it with Split. The reason these are the best maps is because they have a lot of opportunity for you to clear ground quickly, and they have a lot of opportunity for you to move up into better spots. A lot of good nades positions, a lot of good Roomba lineups for some of these. I know the Roomba is just nerfed, but there are a couple of them that are still clearing some corners and still pretty productive. So we're just gonna go into blast packs right now. I can show you the single pack and the double pack. Here we're on Ascent. Single pack, one blast pack is essentially it gives you a ton of momentum, right? So this is my single pack to get up to whatever I want. The single pack usually clears a double box. And by double box, I mean a position like this. This is one box. This is two box. So I can easily make it up here. I can cover this. I can watch all this. I can make it over here. This is another good example of a double box. Single double. This is a great example of that. So another great example of using this blast pack is if you notice it, like if I put it right here, I stand next to it to get air, right? But if you throw it onto a wall, you get no air and you get a strafe. So a lot of guys like to use this. They'll put a blast pack on the wall and they'll take an angle because your accuracy stays consistent if you stay on the ground. So I can clear a corner quicker than most other agents without losing accuracy. And I go wider. Lots of other guys will have to actually physically push wider. There are a couple other ways you can clear corners. Obviously, your blast packs are one of them. We'll get to that later. So, double packing. I'll show you a single pack and how effective these things are. So, the most effective way to double pack and get distance with your packs is to create momentum before you hit the pack. You want to hit it at a 30-degree angle, and typically you'll get farther if you have momentum, right? So I'm going to throw one right here. That's how far I get, right? But if I throw it down here and I run, I'm gonna clear more space. I'm gonna get bigger hits. So I'll do this one more time for you. Versus if I do it up here. So in order to do an effective double pack, you want to clear momentum and you want to hit it right at the apex, right? So we're gonna do a another way to get more effective on these things is to do air strafing. So if I'm gonna do air strafing, I'm gonna look the way that I'm moving. If I'm moving left, I'm pressing A. If I'm going right, holding D, and I'm doing this with my mouse. So if we're gonna clear this, I'm gonna move my mouse left, and I'm gonna hit A at the same time. Just a more effective way to get around. You're harder to hit. It's an easier way for you to kind of pop these things and move a little bit faster. And same thing goes with the right. There are some people who have more strengths on moving around these maps. Uh, by that I mean some people are more comfortable going left and right. What I did personally was I bound my blast packs to my middle mouse button so I could focus on all my movement keys while I'm blast packing. Uh, Most of you know that like some jets like to blast up here automatically, or maybe like to clear left or right. Raze could do the same things, just a little bit differently. I wouldn't have a smoke there. I'll go out there with a nade and hope to God that no one hits me when I get up there. But that's part of our charm. Raze is meant to create space for your teammates on an entry so they can clean up after you. If you get the kills, if you get the entry, it's all better for it, right? So if I'm going to go into this entry site, a typical nade I'd probably do is this dice one, or I might throw back here to hell. You could throw Gen. And notice how I space myself on these nades. I don't throw these out super fast, because if you do, I'll show you what happens. You lose a little bit of momentum. So you want to space them out a little bit so you hit it at the apex. Well, let's try that one more time. So by using a little bit of a pause between packs, I'm able to make it up here versus where I probably would have made it right here. With the old, we'll go back to, so that's both double pack. We'll look at the nade really fast. So the nade is a great AoE clear. This thing can clear out different parts of sites, entire entire teams. For example, like if you want to make sure you're not being entered on, or you could get an early entry, is just throwing a nade like this. And so now you have this pause that you're creating by the enemy team. If you throw this early, lots of guys will not want to entry early, or they'll be ahead of it. So for example, if I throw this, I'm expecting a guy either right here, right there, or they're waiting for the nade to clear. So you're kind of creating confusion with the team and you're separating them in order to get a pick. You could also use these things just generally make sure that no one's in market, no one's back there. Uh I know a couple people like to use them like right here. Make sure they're not in the corner and they'll run out. You can pick them as they come out. The nade is a great tool for storing in damage. I wouldn't typically wait to get kills on a raised nade. I look as a productive nade as you get a little bit of damage, you get a little bit of info, or you move them out of a spot that you can kill them. So the ult is a just general AoE cannon. So there's a damage radius that's pretty large. you can clear it out as well, but like it's best used as a early round or clutch round situation, right? So if I'm here, I'm sure you've seen the guys on TikTok or YouTube. They'll do something like this, but ultimately, it's flashy. But the more effective way to do that same thing is this: it's faster. You get more production of it. As soon as your ult pops, those guys are running. So it's my job to make sure that I could still catch them. And if I'm popping it from here versus back here, they're gonna have time to run out of the main, which is what I don't want. So my most effective way of getting a kill if we're starting off a round is to do this. See if the Roomba catches anyone or starts to run and kill someone. There's a lot of weird things about this ult as well. So for example, the way that it pulls out sometimes can be a little long for some people, but there's a trick to that. So I'm gonna put a pack down. I'm gonna pop my ult and then blast the pack. So you're aware of how that fast that was, right? So I'll just do it normally. It's about 3-4 seconds. So you're up and packing faster than you would otherwise. We'll just one more time for example. So pack, ult, blast. She's ready to roll. Let's go back to this. There's also explain this. So the threat of having an ult, for example, in a clutch round, the bomb's down right here. If you pop an ult, I guarantee you that guy gets off the bomb. There's no way that guy's sticking the bomb, or if he does, he has balls of steel. So you could pop this ult. He's off the bomb. You could wait a couple seconds and guard your space right here in case he pushes you. And then as you time down, when you're about to finish, if he doesn't tap the bomb by the time you finish, just go and give it a little. Let's see if you get a kill. It's excellent for calling bluffs like that. I do it all the time. I don't think I've ever seen anyone stick the bomb. It's excellent on Haven C Long. It's excellent on India site. Haven C Long's pretty darn good too. I'm sorry, you probably could see that. So if he's right here, I'm holding it. I'm waiting. If he gets back on the bomb now, then I'll do it now. So I'm calling his bluff. There's no way that guy sticks it. You're winning the round, or at least you're wasting time. As soon as a bomb goes down in Valorant, you have, I believe it's 45 seconds to get it up. It might be 35. I think it's 45. 45 seconds to get it up. And you're wasting 12 seconds of that with this. So, in short, her ult is incredibly powerful. You can move guys off with it. You can bluff them. You can hit them early. There are a lot of single use case scenarios where the ult is extremely powerful. I'll show you some entry examples on B Ascent and B&A Ascent. So entry examples, I mean setting up your utility to kind of help you clear these corners. So usually what I do is I come over here, I look at these bars, the second one over right here. This used to clear a lot more, but this still clears this corner where everyone likes to kind of hide. So you're coming in and you know this room was either going to attack this guy or it's going to check. It's going to check that for you. Either way, you get a clear. Uh, there are two ways to enter this site. If there's smokers down right here, there are a lot of guys who will sit right back here. And a favorite pastime of mine used to be to go in and just judge them. You probably get a free kill doing that most pistol and eco rounds if they're kind of camping the site. Another great entry point is so a momentum pack. You do a momentum pack from here, and you blast another one maybe right around here to get into market. Show you what that looks like. This is probably best used when you have a controller who's smoking your mid-market and there's no KJ. If there's a KJ, the turret will slow you down, your momentum might be screwed. But if you get in there, it's tons of fun and a lot of chaos. We can also move in. You could also move in back to here, and take a fight back this way. Usually, I mean more cautious about it because a lot of people now like to hold from stairs. It's worth the risk, and as a duelist, uh, risks are usually worth taking, especially on something like Raze where it takes so much space. So these are two entry points for Raze. To the back over here. Obviously, you can go right here with a single. We can close the door for our teammates. Entry on A. Entry on A is complicated because you could also do. You could have so many nade points you want to hit. Typically, this is an angle I'll take on without assistance or with a Roomba. It's back here. So you throw in a Roomba, it chases the guy down if he's holding the corner. Everyone will either play, if they get chased down, they're going to be playing right here, or probably right there. So if they have a second guy on the site, it's probably right here, upstairs, dice heaven. There are so many angles here where you just have to pick one and kind of go for it. If you're playing these guys, you're in deep rounds. Hopefully, you can make a read by then to kind of decide where's most likely you're going to clear. Some people have a lot of tendencies to go to the same spots over and over again when they spots they feel comfortable in. That includes Jen. And then I would go fight Jen. There are a lot of different entry paths to this. We can go right as well. And as soon as I'm hitting the ground, I'm making sure that I'm clearing all these angles that could be detrimental for my team. Uh, Obviously, you couldn't know which one's going to be the most hard to clear because it's probably going to be shooting at you. As Raze, you're going to take a lot of flack, a lot of shots because you're an entry duelist. And the trick is not to let it go to your mental as best as you can because it sucks sometimes. Uh, that concludes just the general part of the blast pack intro. And the utilizing your ults. I appreciate you guys for showing up. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to help you out. Thanks, Panadol. 45 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. Also, I guess so question on my end, I guess. So
Sure.
what what type of comps do you think Raze is like good into? If that makes sense.
Oh,
Like what agents will you say she has,
good
additional
synergy.
strengths against?
So she has incredible.
Synergy with, I guess, as well, yeah. Like
Yeah.
synergies with, and then what agents, there's a, I guess, a util kit really help counter in some way, I guess, to kind of make
So
entry stuff easier.
she's incredible with fade and breach. You can imagine like throwing a snag with fade gets you a lot of kills, especially on that Haven A site. So Haven A lobby, if you have a fade, throw a snag, and you throw one right after you throw a nade right after, it's a free kill. Pretty much any opening spot with fade is a bonus. Breach is really incredible on stuff like Fracture, where you could have Breach stun something, like a main, and you can go in with a nade or an ult. Same thing happens with his ult, right? If Breach wants to ult a site for you to blast pack entry in with an ult as well, that's extremely effective. So I would say any good initiator, like any duelist, a smart initiator, really compounds how effective you are and how much production you guys are going to get done together. I for sure know that my most effective games as a Raze have been with smart initiators coordinating with me. There are a lot of solo stuff that I showed you in this where you kind of mix little solo plays, but really like the meat for a Raze is to know how many to anticipate, where am I nading, uh, and where should I watch out for when you're blast packing in. Because if you're entering, you want the most recon possible. Um, I would say for controller wise, Astra's great. She has that great suck for you. She could also she could pull smokes for you when you're about to, or fake smokes for you when you're about to blast pack out of somewhere. Uh, and then Sentinel wise, she's hard to go into both Sentinels, but if you're aware of the Sentinels, it makes it a whole lot easier, right? No one wants to be blast packing and get caught by a cipher, but if there's a cipher, you have a blast pack, and it's easier to clear with blast packs and nades. Uh, Essentially, she's an anti a cipher, in the fact that I could put down a Roomba, it'll catch any floor trips. I could put down a nade, it'll blow up any trips in my way. Throw a blast pack, it'll blow it up. KJ is a little more difficult, but yeah, it's true. But Sentinels as well, like KJ, a couple of KJ anti nades you could do on stuff like Haven, for example. So, for example, when she's been ulting at A, everyone leaves. But there are a couple ways for you to counter that because she has the only utility. I think it's the only general utility other than KO that will kill it. KO, you have to land it like on the dot of her ult in order for it to go out. With the Raze, you could be just lazy and you throw it, which is great. Um, Let me show you. Okay, so I think it is. This is the one I just used against someone in one of our champ matches the other day. So effectively, I sat up here. They gave us a retake site. So what that means is they left the site, they let us plant, and all five of them were waiting outside of the site ready to kill us because they had a KJ ult ready to plant right over here. What I did was I sat up here, I waited for the ult to go down, I blast packed, and I throw a nade. And that's the only it's effectively the only way to kill it, because if you just throw it from up here, you don't get the momentum. And it won't kill it. So effectively, in order, the only way to get rid of it is to give yourself momentum off of the blast pack to push you into the wall. And it can be a little woozy, a little weird to start. If you're going to play Haven with Raze, highly recommend that you just practice this a couple times. It's not super effective in matchmaking, unless you clear the entire site and you know they have a KJ ult on them on the way. Because there's matchmaking, there's bound to be some solo hero about to fucking run in the corner and kill you. Uh, it's difficult to anticipate that, but if it's a match, if it's a 5v5 or an organized match, they'll likely play an organized retake, and that's where the blast pack comes in. There was one. I wish I saw it earlier. Oh, that's it. So there's someone in VCT or the Brazil today who threw. That's it. They threw that, and somehow it's barely enough to kill the ult. It might be better like that. Huh. Anyway, yeah. So there are many other agents that. Yeah, it was one of the Brazilian teams that uh I saw it happen. Maybe I can dig up that clip for us later. It's very interesting. But yeah, there aren't it should have been MIBR, right? On the Haven. It was either MIBR or yeah, yes. So double satcheling is effectively I highly recommend binding your blast pack to your mouse or something that doesn't evolve using your WASD keys. It could be your mouse, it could be your space bar. Um, it just has you have to keep jump and you have to keep WASD keys free. So effectively, when you want to move, or you're going to a site with a bunch of people, you always want to create chaos, right? So they smoked here, they're all over the site. You have guys who are down there waiting to come in. Oh my goodness. And I'm just creating chaos. It doesn't even have to be good. It has to create enough what the hell is she thinking in order for them to start shooting at you so your team can come in. So I get to hear, I get to hear, I get to hear, and their crosshairs are now away from that door for my teammates to come in. Blast packing in general can be timing more than anything else. So you could do a lot of ground blast packs. Which are effective, but they're mostly, I don't know if you noticed that, but I strafe a lot just to kind of get momentum while I'm going and kind of be able to aim my direction where I want to go. It helps me kind of get into a rhythm, so to speak. I think there's a lot of ways to do blast packing. So I know a lot of people who don't even do doubles who are extremely good with just using them to clear corners. If they're taking on a fight with a bunch of people, they might just cancel themselves out. Double blast packing is all about timing, essentially, right? So I'm waiting till I'm about 30 degrees above the blast pack, which is kind of right here. That gives you the most distance. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. But for the most part, I recommend using a little bit of momentum, no matter where it is. It could be a small box. Uh, this will give you momentum. Making myself a right clown. Okay. This will give you momentum. Effectively, they said that there's no ceilings on these maps, but with Raze, you quickly find out that there is. You could definitely hit a ceiling along a lot of these, right? So these ridges are super hard to get around, super hard to get around, super hard to get around. But if you keep it low, if I bend down and I keep it low, my momentum focused on the ground, I kind of get a little more distance and it's fast. My crosshair is never going to be up. It's always going to be the direction I intend on going and a little bit down. So I have a little more control of my height and kind of where I'm going to land. Notice how I just threw them lazy and I got nowhere. So 30 degrees, a little bit down. In order to do stuff fast, so for example, if we want to do like a, see this lineup even works anymore. Okay, so if someone's holding this, I'd probably give it a little more running room. So effectively what I'm doing is I'm looking at this brick right here. I'm giving myself momentum. I'm gonna fight the guy backside. It's always about kind of, yeah, so the angle you look changes the angle you launch at. So I'll show you an example of that. I'm gonna look that way, right? It's your relative distance to where the pack is, right? But if I'm gonna throw down another pack, a second pack, it's gonna go in front of you. She's gonna release her packs towards your crosshair is. So if you're gonna double pack, you always want to keep your crosshair sort of in the direction where you anticipate you want to go. So if I'm gonna pack, right, you need to throw it on your left and obviously go that way, right? But wherever you go is gonna be the relative distance of where you throw the pack. It's all nerd math stuff. Vertical angle is how relative you are to the pack as well. So for example, I get the most vertical if the closer I am to the pack. Obviously less vertical the further I am away from it. If you want to clear a wide angle like this on a single pack, it's more effective to do it from the ground because you maintain your accuracy. If I threw it down here, notice how my crosshair kind of, my shots go kind of everywhere. So, as well as like getting the most out of the pack to go the furthest, the ideal positioning. That's kind of why I keep my blast packs kind of when I throw them, I kind of look down a little bit. Is to hit it at 30 degrees, and do 30 degrees faster is to put it right under you and blast it. It gives me a lot more vertical and a lot more distance. For example, if I were to do it just immediately, I get a ton of height, right? But if I give it a little bit of time, maybe a beat, further out. And vertical angle will for sure impact flight too. So notice how I don't go too far if I go right above the pack. Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll let you know when I'm hit the keys. So pack one, I'll let you know again. Ready? Hit, hit, hit. I'll do it one more time. All right. Throw, hit, hit. And as soon as I threw it, I'm kind of like I'm double tapping my middle mouse button. This is how fast I'm throwing these things. Because my momentum after the first blast pack is so fast that when I put that second pack out, I'm already ahead of it because I'm looking down. All right, ready? Hit, hit, hit. Whoop. What happened there? I'm almost mashing to get the second pack out. Yeah. Because when I'm looking at the ground, my momentum is so much off the first pack that it throws so far behind me. So ready, run. Hit, hit. That's why I put on my middle mouse button because I could smash the middle mouse button as I'm going and still kind of correct my momentum with my A and D key and my air strafing. Sometimes I'll take a space of a pack, kind of like I'll let it go for maybe a half a second. Yeah, I can cover it again for you. So air strafing is essentially strafing in the game is movement uh combined with your mouse movement, right? So if I'm going left, I want to be holding A and going left with my mouse. No. No, you don't. I could do I could hold forward as much as I want in this game and it doesn't punish me for air strafing, which is freaking awesome. Because I used to be really bad about that in CS:GO. So air strafing is an effective way for you to kind of guide corners. For example, if I'm taking a fight down here on long C, I could wrap I could wrap the corner by air strafing it. The most effective way to actually hit this corner is with something like a KO who's throwing a flash or a breach who's going to stun it for you. That's why I said earlier that like some of these agents that are most complimentary to you are going to be flashes, stuns, sucks, anything like that that will do a little bit of AoE clearing for you. So effectively, in a nutshell, raises a highly movement based character with a lot of AoE damage utility. Um, she is incredibly fast at what she does, and she brings a lot of damage with her. And if you aren't doing crazy stuff with Raze, you might be playing it wrong. Anybody else have any questions? No, no problem, man. Happy to help. I'm always around in the discords, and I'm always in the 10 mans. If you want a little bit of lesson, I could always do your flashing for you while you blast pack in, or vice versa. Always around to kind of do one-on-ones and stuff like that as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Rokk. Appreciate you taking the time to kind of put this together for the seminar for for the folks in the server. I think it's having this the agent specific series that we're kind of going through right now is going to be really helpful for
For sure.
a lot of folks who want to look at specific agents that they want to play and get better at.
For sure. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to kind of put something a little more formal edited together for you guys. Um, yeah, just let me know.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.